and welcome back to this episode of Can I Just Say podcast. I don't know if y'all are feeling what I am feeling in the cosmos right now, but it's felt pretty crazy. So we have a planet parade on January 25th, 2025, which is this coming Saturday. It's supposed to be where 7 of the planets in our sky will be aligned with Earth. So there will be 8 of us in alignment with the sun. It's felt pretty crazy. If you are an elder millennial like myself and have watched the Disney movie Hercules, we all know what the planets aligning means. It means that the Titans are coming back. So I don't know, maybe that's the energy I'm picking up on, but let's get into this podcast. So my last episode of Introduction to Boundaries was very helpful for people in my everyday life and my most supportive people who have been kind of helping me get my podcast off the ground, really. They shared with me how helpful it was that I broke down standards as being the past, boundaries as being the present, and expectations as being the future. So I wanted to go in depth to explain what standards, boundaries, and expectations are, and to also share tips on how to establish and uphold them to create meaningful and respectful relationships. I am still working myself on practicing these things, so it's a helpful reminder for me as well. It's funny too, because this reminds me, in my shamanic apprenticeship, there was a portion of the hero's journey that my shaman, Rami, had us practice saying, "and so am I," whenever we found ourselves frustrated with other humans. So most of the time, those frustrations come from something being mirrored to us through that person. So being frustrated for someone cutting you off in traffic could be showing you where you are stifling your own voice or allowing others to take advantage of your boundaries. And so am I is also to be expressed when we see the beauty in others, but that's a topic for another day. Today we are going more in depth with standards. I introduced this concept last week in my Introduction to Boundaries episode, where I personally define standards as requirements to initiate a more intimate relationship. Basically, these are the qualities and requirements that people need to have and show us for us to want a deeper connection with them. We meet so many people in our lives through passing and work interactions. We collect many acquaintances. But when we meet someone who begins meeting requirements within our standards, boundaries, or expectations, we tend to begin connecting with them more. Sometimes it's to build a healthy, thriving relationship. Other times it's to learn where we are lax in our boundaries or how to better enforce them. We can learn more about what we do want and value versus what we don't want and value from all of our connections. But it's when they move beyond the acquaintance stage that we are able to work more directly on our healing and growth process. So, standards as the past. Our past experiences of relationships help us to establish our standards. We are first exposed to the benchmarks of relationships with our parents or whoever raised you as a child. Even being raised by a single parent influences the way that you want your relationships to look. The standards that we begin to build are part of the foundation we inherit from the generations before us. Our parents learn from their parents, who learn from theirs, and so on. This is where we begin to learn who we want to be within our relationships and what we want from the people we are connecting with. The blueprint for standards. We begin to build our standards from the moment we are born and our consciousness enters this realm. A lot of our genetic coding and DNA holds information passed to us from our ancestors. Similar to passing on predispositions for disease or illness, our lineage also passes along trauma, gifts and talents, and things like beliefs and standards. Through the relationships we have in our lives, we grow and learn and become more aware of what we believe to be the basis or standards for the feelings that we have and require for our relationships. They may and likely will change from what we thought we desired before. Things such as love, support, loyalty, independence, shared income and beliefs, and so on. Our standards are also desires we create for future relationships like our marriage or long term relationships, or our deeply rooted friendships, and even the future relationships we want with our family. Family and early influence. Our earliest examples of relationships come from observing the dynamics within our family and our close community. We learn what love is from our parents or the caregiver who raised us. We learn what support is when a friend stands up for us when we are being bullied at school. Most of us are given opportunities to experience healthy relationships, but also ones involving conflict. This creates what we perceive to be normal parts of relationships. A person who grew up in a household with open communication and mutual respect will likely develop higher standards for honesty and emotional and mental safety in their chosen relationships. On the opposite end, someone who experienced neglect and dysfunction in their household may develop lower standards, believing they deserve less or to make the relationship easier to digest and navigate. Personal experiences. As we build relationships throughout our lives, they help teach us what we truly value and what we will not tolerate. Betrayal can teach us trust. Unwavering loyalty can show us kindness and empathy. All of these positive and negative moments help us learn and grow so that we can refine our standards to be more in alignment with what we desire. Reaching toward alignment harbors more self-worth and happiness within us because we do not allow ourselves to settle for less than what we require or deserve. Cultural and societal narratives. Some of the standards that we hold are influenced by the collective. Stories and folklore are passed down through cultures and traditions and become part of what we believe to be the foundation for relationships. Movies, books, and fairy tales about love often set expectations for what our relationships should look like. We romanticize a knight in shining armor coming to save the damsel in distress. While it is healthy to use these stories as inspiration for your relationships, it is important to recognize what is unrealistic as well. This is where we really begin to notice our sense of individuality within the collective and build upon who we are authentically outside of the roles that we play in other people's lives. The role reflecting and healing plays. As we grow, reflect, and learn from the past, we start to recognize which standards serve us and which ones don't. Healing from past mistakes or neglect of our standards in our relationships allows for us to redefine and reevaluate our standards, boundaries, and expectations so that we can honor our growth and potential instead of settling for whatever comes along. Without reflection, we can repeat patterns, both consciously and unconsciously. With awareness, our past experiences become a powerful teacher and guide to go deeper into who we are on a soul level. Standards as a bridge between past and present. Our standards act as a bridge that connects the lessons of our past with the reality of our present. They help us honor and respect our history without being trapped by it. By consciously shaping and redefining our standards, we break free from cycles that don't serve who we are or are becoming and create a present and future that's rooted more in healthy, fulfilling relationships. As you can see, there are a lot of ways our past experiences and our family dynamics shape who we are and what we want in our relationships. There are only so many excuses we can make for what we will put up with from the way we were raised. We are given opportunities in all of our relationships to shift our desires and reshape ourselves. We were not designed to fit in a box, especially the box that society tends to tell us to stay in. Divorce is still widely frowned upon, but no one should have to settle or put up with someone they don't love. Someone who physically, mentally, or emotionally abuses you should not be somebody that you have to continue to share your home with, or your heart, or your thoughts. We should not be forced to suck it up and continue our oath to that person if they are not providing for us what we need in our romantic relationship. I believe that people can fall out of love as we grow and learn from our experiences. It's fair to say sometimes we grow in opposite directions, and sometimes our closest people decide not to grow with us. I can say for myself that a lot of the relationships that I no longer hold close to me, I still love those people. As a human being, I give them love and meet them where they're at. They just do not have a place in my immediate life anymore. I don't wish anyone unwell, but I will put them in position where they have shown me they deserve to be. I continue to learn and raise the bar in my relationships. Some have been willing to step up, and some have shown me where I'm being too strict. Others have decided I'm asking for too much and have removed themselves. It hasn't always been easy, but I do try to learn from all of it, take accountability where I am meant to, release the final bits of attachment I have to them, and send it all off with love. As we get through boundaries and expectations in the next couple of episodes, I will later be sharing how to create healthy standards, boundaries, and expectations, as well as tips on how to enforce and respect them yourself. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you next time.